I can't remember. Chase, your name's been tossed around in connection with the Hendrick trip to Le Mans next year. Do you have interest in that?
Yeah, you know, I haven't. I'm not super up to speed on it. The boss called me last week and said that they were going to do it, and I guess we're probably racing on that weekend. But yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun to go do that event one day. I'm not sure it's really possible with the way our schedule is. I don't know 100% how that's going to line up, but certainly would have interest in it. But I just don't think that logistically that's gonna work for any of us. But we'll see.
If the off week is that week, right?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how the schedule falls.
All right, we'll go to Bob.
Chris Fox Sports. I assume you watched some of that truck practice. Did that tell you anything about how your cars are going to be on the track?
Yeah, I actually didn't. I was working my way down here, but I was keeping up with it from afar, and it sounded like those guys were wide open and drafting and all that stuff. So I would imagine we'll be doing the same, which I think is what we all pretty much expected coming into this. So I think there's a lot of ways you can look at it. I really, for a repave, in a situation for a mile and a half getting repaved and just kind of the way these places drive, to have the ability to, move off the bottom and, get rubber down in different lanes, I feel like this might be the best way to do that. So I think it'll be interesting for sure. I don't exactly know what to expect, but hopefully, we have two solid lanes and you can, work them both, and I think that the cars are probably going to drive good enough to where you can do that. So we'll see. I don't know, man. I'm as open as anybody about it, and I really don't 100% know, but I do think it'll be kind of Speedway-esque and just looking at it reminds me a lot of turns 3 and 4 at Texas, and I think it'll be really similar to the All-Star race out there last summer on that end of the racetrack. Has kind of been my headspace and how I've approached the weekend.
All right, we'll go to Steve and then Kelly.
Steve Conley, PRN. Chase, want to look ahead to next week a little bit. COTA, obviously last year the rain, weather's a complete 180 for next week. Will you spend a little bit of time looking for Road America, kind of for the prep this week, or what will you take in to COTA next week?
Yeah, I mean, I think just learning, obviously our first road course race with this car. I don't think anybody has really driven it a lot on road courses. We had the test at Charlotte there early on, but it seemed like every team was, they had a car at the track and they were kind of rotating drivers through. So I don't think any of us got a ton of time with it, but these cars, really a lot of the design pieces come from a road race background. Some of the things we see on the IMSA side of things. So I really think they're probably going to suit road racing well, and I think they'll be fine. And I don't know if the race will really look a ton different, honestly, but I think the cars will drive fine. But certainly getting used to those small things that are going to be a little different, and the shifting and the brakes. Just how they act at some of those different style of corners, because COTA has a lot of different angles and weird off-camber situations. So curious to see how it drives, but I think it'll be fine.
And over your last 6 years here in the Cup Series, when you look back to your first race to where you are now, how do you see your development as a driver, communication-wise, with your team?
I would like to think it's gotten better. I hope, I feel like I've learned a lot for sure over the course of my time. But I'm always learning. I don't feel like I ever have it perfect. If somebody has it perfect, I'd love to meet them. But I think it's definitely a learning thing, and the sport's just always changing. Look at this year. We're coming in with a new car, and these things drive different. Coming to a brand new Atlanta Motor Speedway here. Things are just always changing. It's like nothing is ever just going to stay the same always. So I think just having an open mind and maybe taking some of those past experiences with you as you encounter new things, and be willing to maybe break a habit or two to improve. Sometimes those things are hard to do. I feel like a lot of times as a driver you always you always kind of fall back into what's natural to you, but sometimes you might have to adjust that, you know, and like I said, break a habit, which is tough. But I think it's necessary sometimes to be successful. So yeah, just trying to take it a weekend at a time and make the most of as I say all the time, a great opportunity, and I've got that, right now. So just trying to have some fun with it too.
We'll go to Kelly and then Lee.
Chase, two things. You said something interesting yesterday on Sirius I hadn't thought about. You said this is the first time you've gone through a car change. I guess besides other than Chevy when they tweak the body. So what has that been like? I guess maybe breaking out of any comfort zones or any ways that you've had to adapt and just take on a challenge like this of a completely new car.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been through it. I think there's probably a handful of guys in the field that went through the COT change, and then as the car transitioned to whatever they call the last one. But for me personally, this is the first time I've kind of gone through that, and I've had fun with it, really, just because it is different. This thing does drive different. I feel like it's a little less forgiving than what we had last year. You're not really going any faster, but it's just less forgiving, which is interesting. Typically, with a lack of forgiveness comes extra speed. But that's just not really the case with this car. It doesn't seem, it's still very draggy, but there's just not a lot of not a lot of cushion to lean on with the right side from an aero standpoint. So it's just a different feel. But I think as you go through some of these changes, as I said a second ago, I think you really have to have an open mind. I mentioned it yesterday, but I felt like California, I felt like was a pretty natural feel to me. And that seemed to work okay to have pace. Phoenix was kind of the same way. Vegas was not, and I think that's just something that I have to, really think about how to go back and find that sense of comfort, and still go fast. So you might have to adjust that as you go from these different tracks. So yeah, it's been my experience so far, but it's been fun, and it's been a challenge.
Along those same lines, talking about performance, you said in the looking ahead to this week that you guys haven't really set the world on fire, but you've been seeing things that you're confident about, that you're going in the right direction. What are those things? What's positive with this team right now setting you up for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I look at California. I thought we were really solid there, before I crashed the car the first time, and then I thought we were really good at Phoenix, in contention there for the majority of the day. We've had great pit stops for the most part all year. Like I said, the pace has been there when we get the thing driving like I want, at some of those tracks too, which is good. It's nice to go to a place like, last week I thought was just a nice weekend builder, just to, hey, we showed up, I was looking for a field, we were able to achieve that in the car, and then when we achieved that, we had pace in comparison to the rest of the competitors. So, when those things happen, it's a good thing, and I feel like all the pieces of the puzzle have been there, at different times. Just not the end result. Certainly no wins. So we want to be better and try to check those boxes.
We'll go to Lee.
Chase, you mentioned about running above his track this weekend, and I'm just kind of curious, how important is it to continue to ride the momentum that NASCAR has right now by you doing things like that, from Kyle doing, his grassroots effort? How much does that help the Sunday show and just bringing eyeballs on it?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it helps. I feel like speaking for myself, I do that type of thing because I enjoy it. I enjoy the, going and racing and driving a different car and challenging myself, in a different way. And so it's very naturally. I don't do it because, I'm trying to pull people from one area to the other. If that comes along with it, then I think that's a great thing, and that should be a natural thing too. Just like it's natural for me to want to go do that stuff. You want someone to naturally have interest in watching us on Sunday if they're at the race tonight, or vice versa. If somebody's going to watch on Sunday, maybe you cruise over there tonight and check out the dirt track. That's only half hour away. But you want that to be a natural thing, and I think that's really my standpoint. Is I naturally want to go do it, and if you pull some people with you to enjoy that crossover, then great, and maybe you'll make a new fan or two, or have somebody take part in an event that they wouldn't have before, which would be a positive as well.
And to kind of follow up where Kelly was going, Alan Gustafson was also on the channel this week and said something along the lines that this car really doesn't suit your driving style. Does this car remind you of anything perhaps that you've driven before?
Not really, no. And definitely different for sure. And I think, most everything I've driven, along the NASCAR side of things, look at a truck, they have the, big flat right sides, a lot of forgiveness with the air from that standpoint. The Xfinity cars are really the same way. The Cup cars were that way, and especially last year with the big spoilers on. And you can take advantage of that. Guys can take advantage of that comfort on the right side of these things. And this thing just does not. There's just not a lot extra there. Once you get past that slip of the tire and whatever is available grip-wise in the right rear or the right sides, it seems like that's kind of it. There's nothing beyond that. So for me, I think going to some of these places like a Las Vegas, I was really loose and just couldn't find that comfort. So potentially going to have to break some habits, and that's a part of the deal. And I have no problems with that. I think it's okay to have to challenge yourself in a different area to get better. So I'm all good with it, and I think it'll be interesting. I think a lot's going to change throughout the year. I think right now there's a lot of teams in a lot of different directions right now, and in 6 months I don't think that's really going to be the case. So I'm curious to see how the racing changes from now to mid-late summer.
All right, we'll finish up with Jordan. I lied, we'll finish up with Bob, but we'll go to Jordan.
We won't forget you, Bob.
Jordan Bianchi, the Athletic. Chase, there's been some talk that drivers who have a dirt background, or maybe who are willing to kind of hop into different cars and experiment and kind of get up to speed quickly, have been able to have success with the next-gen car. As someone who has done that lately, is that true? Is that what you're finding?
Yes and no. I think a guy can still be really good. If you just race on Sundays and you've had success along the way and kind of learned the right tools, I guess, over the years to have this kind of be your background. So I don't know that you really have to do that, but I definitely don't think it hurts anything to go and run different style cars, dirt or asphalt. Just to get in different stuff. I will say, the one thing that has really stood out to me is anytime I've gotten into a car that you may or may not be going faster mile per hour wise, but when you're in a car that is going fast for a certain style racetrack and it feels fast, things are happening really quick. I think anytime you can jump back into something that your surroundings are slowing down, I think that is a big help. Whether it's on dirt or asphalt. Certainly searching around and finding the grip, all that's good and is a helpful thing too. But I think anytime you can jump in something really fast and you can come back and slow your surroundings down, things happen slower for you, and I think things get easier too.
I was just going to ask, as the biggest Braves fan in the garage, have you been paying attention to free agency? And
I have.
were you crying when Freeman leaving, or is having Olsen okay?
Yeah, no, I think it was. Look, I get both sides of it for sure. I've enjoyed keeping up with it. I had a chance to spend some time with Freddie when we were out in LA, and that was the first time I'd ever really been around him, and he was just a super guy, which made me want him to stay. Even more. Obviously, he's a great baseball player, but even better individual in my opinion. And so I hated to see that, but. I knew as things were starting to get talked about around the All-Star break and whatnot, it was going to be, it could go either way. And I get it, it's Moneyball, it's part of it. The Dodgers certainly got a good one, so I hate to see him go, but excited about their team. I think they've been filling all the gaps well, and I think they'll be just fine. So I'm excited to watch either way.
Thanks for joining us, Chase.
Yeah, thanks.